au séminaire en informatique cognitive. Cette fois-ci, c'est une membre de la famille, une ancienne membre de la famille qui vient de devenir docteur. Gulnara SHAYDULLINA. Gulnara SHAYDULLINA. Comment je prononce ça?
C'est là.
OK. Il vient de faire son doctorat il y a quelques années. Sa présentation aussi porte sur une plateforme d'apprentissage collaboratif avec les chatbots étudiants. Les chatbots en temps d'étudiants. Le résumé, vous connaissez tous. Vous connaissez Gulnara qui vient de soutenir sa thèse. Elle est diplômée en... le sont les diplômes, on le sait. Et puis, elle a étudié à McGill aussi. Et puis, elle a obtenu sa maîtrise à l'UDM. Puis ensuite, son doctorat. Ses intérêts actuels comprennent les méthodes d'enseignement innovantes, l'apprentissage collaboratif avec les chatbots et les nouvelles technologies en éducation. Je ne sais pas si je te l'ai envoyé, mais on a fait des études là-dessus. Je ne sais pas si c'est pertinent.
J'ai pris les notes aussi.
OK.
On peut le discuter.
Très bien. Alors, avec ça, j'invite Gulnara à faire sa présentation en français, mais on pouvait poser des questions en anglais ou en français. C'est pareil.
Je présente en anglais.
Ah. Oui, c'est ça. Elle va parler. Elle présente en anglais, mais vous posez des questions en anglais. C'est difficile ici, on oublie en quelle langue on est en train de parler.
Bonjour tout le monde. Comme il a été déjà mentionné, je vais présenter en anglais, mais si vous avez des questions en français. Comme ma thèse était en anglais aussi. Good morning, everybody, and I'm privileged to be invited by Professor Hamnat and my department to present at the seminar, and it's strange to be on this side of the room and not facing the screen, but facing the audience, but I guess it's my turn to return the favor. My presentation is based on my PhD thesis that I defended in August. Plateforme d'apprentissage collaboratif avec des chatbots-étudiants. And I would like to mention that the course in question, since you didn't read my thesis, so you don't know the details, the course in question is teaching medium-level Tatar language, which is one of the indigenous languages of the Russian Federation. Tatars are the largest minority in the Russian Federation. And the students in question are Russian-speaking students with beginner level of proficiency in Tatar. Also, although it's a language course, it's a language course because of my background. So the main focus of the prototype is not how to teach the language, but it focuses on the key aspects of contemporary education, online collaboration, and chatbots. So my research area is in the intersection of cognitive science, and the cognitive component is examining the phenomenon of crowd learning, collaborative learning, and peer chatbots, and the IT component is improvement of digital learning platforms.
Excuse me, Gulnara, for interrupting you. Do you invite questions during your presentation or only after?
As you wish, I'm okay.
So you would say, okay.
So you can raise your hand if something is not clear, or I was too fast, or you need me to translate into French.
Parce que il faut de la participation.
Yeah, it's all about collaboration, participation, and discussion. So I invite the discussion.
Well, I have already a question then. Are we going to be able to have access to the slides afterward?
The whole video should be accessible, but if you want the slides too, I think
yes,
okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
Also, my whole thesis will be soon on the website of the depositories of the whole thesis. So the key terms for this work was a chatbot, and there are a million of definitions of chatbots, but they all include three main components. It's a software that enables humans engage in conversation. So software, humans, and conversation. So no matter what definition of a chatbot there is, it will include these three components. Another key term and the key notion is crowdsourcing. The key notions here are that it's an activity that's online, that it's distributed problem solving, that it's a collective intelligence, that works in reaching specific organizational goals. So it's always a combination of bottom-up creativity and top-down management. I think we don't see the bottom part of the slide, so you cannot see the.
Let's see what can be done.
Well, it's okay. It's just the reference to the work of the person.
The screen all the way pulled down.
Well, maybe that's, let me pull it down further. If it's only the screen and it's on your screen. That's all.
Technology, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Je pose la question en français juste parce que j'ai un gros accent, peu importe si c'est français ou anglais. Bon, la recherche qui a été faite avec la description de chatbot, juste pour savoir ce qu'il y avait ici, regardé pour prendre des chatbots qui pouvaient faire des interactions par image, comme pour des problèmes mathématiques, où on restait vraiment texte et voix seulement pour des communications plus de courtes, de longues.
C'est communication textuelle dans une plateforme de la discussion. C'est le forum.
Ah, OK, des forums, ouais. OK, des forums de maths seraient pas applicables. Non.
The synonyms used here is crowd learning as a form of crowdsourcing, because you know that there is crowd everything, you know, and crowd voting, crowdfunding, so there is crowd learning too. And student chatbot, as I call the chatbots in my project, it's a type of a peer chatbot. So a chatbot that studies with a companion chatbot that studies with the students. Here, it's worth mentioning that just as I was finishing testing my prototype in November 2022, looking Galaxy here. In 2022 November, the first ChatGPT was launched. And when I was finishing my thesis in March 2023, its fourth iteration was released, which was a question, isn't my research a bit behind facing this breakthrough? ChatGPT being really a breakthrough in terms of chatbot and virtual assistant technology, it doesn't really affect the study, and you will see why and how. And surprisingly, chatbots in education are still not as widely used as they are in other spheres of life. And here are recent research, and we can see that it's mostly used in business and commerce. And in Statistics Canada doesn't even mention education as a sphere of use of chatbots. And here we can, for example, in this research and forecast, we don't even know if it's, for example, included in the others, because healthcare is mentioned, but education is nowhere in the list. Hence the research problem. Compared to business and commerce, the use of chatbots in education is still insubstantial, and thus the chatbots technology potential has not been fully realized. In my thesis and my study, I delved into chatbots technology underexplored potential in education. Part of my work was, of course, literature review, and I concentrated on two aspects, chatbots and education, mostly chatbots used as companions, and collective learning and the value of collaboration among students. So my idea was to marry these two phenomena, to explore how peer chatbots can enhance students' experience and reduce the workload on faculty, and how crowd learning can compensate for chatbots' shortcomings and use its advantages for the process.
Can I ask you to define your chatbot and crowd learning, just in a few words?
Peer chatbot is a chatbot software that's used as a companion to the learner and works along the learner, going through every aspect of the learning process together. And it's like any human companion that will be at your side. And crowdsourcing is
Crowd learning.
crowd learning is the sort of crowdsourcing, which means a process that happens first of all online. So crowd everything is an online phenomenon. So it happens online, it's distributed, which means it's asynchronous and distributed geographically and chronologically, I would say, because they're not always in the same time zones, these people. It's distributed in terms of individuality of each participant. So everybody brings their own individual input into the process. It's a collaboration that that aims at reaching a certain organizational goal that was given by a third party, the management. But it's a soft top-down management because the goal is given, and then the collective of learners in this case, they reach their goal with their bottom-up creativity. So it's the combination of bottom-up and top-down. So here it's important to maintain the balance between the two so that the useful activity happens somewhere in the middle. You will see later why I insist on this balance between top-down and bottom-up with the help of chatbot. So my research questions were about the advantages and shortcomings of chatbots used in an online educational setting. The next question was, does the crowd learning based online educational platform have a potential to reinforce the advantages of chatbots and to mitigate their shortcomings? And the third double question is, what are the winning approaches to peer chatbot integration into such platform? And what do we learn from the students' experience and potential teachers' opinions? The rest of methodology, apart from literature review, consisted of building a prototype of such an online platform with peer chatbots in it, recruiting students and testing the prototype, surveying students on their experience, recruiting teacher consultants, and surveying their opinion on the process. And as a result, formulating the conclusions and recommendations. Since I didn't encounter case studies describing exactly this type of platform, I worked out my own architecture scenarios and procedures and using some of the previous research as inspiration. For example, here's a use case that distinguishes between the two actors, real student and student chatbot. We see that their actions and tasks are the same, but student chatbot's role is to covertly communicate instructors' messages and directions. So it's a top-down management without pressure. Because we know that in a controlled environment in class or online when the teacher says, let's discuss, but the teacher is there and he or she can interject with suggestions or questions. And of course, we take this kind of involvement seriously, and it influences our creativity. Here,
Teacher knows that there's a student chatbot or not?
of course, it's the teacher who does this whole thing. He's the
The administrator.
yes, but he doesn't manifest himself or herself. That's the idea, so that this chatbot acts just as another student conveying the teacher's direction, suggestions.
And the teacher perform this to enhance the collaborative learning.
Not to exercise pressure too, because pressure, it sort of curbs your creativity, because the teacher can say, oh, why don't you think about that? So you redirect it under that pressure. But if it's your student mate who proposes that, you can counter that suggestion. And as Surovetsky, one of the authors of that I cited, states, it is in confrontation that you reach certain productivity, and not in complacency. Not when you say yes, yes, and then you follow the leader. It's when you confront, even if you're wrong, but you confront and you present your arguments, and then maybe you realize that you're wrong, or maybe you're right. So it's about not exercising pressure on students, making them relaxed and creative.
And I think it enhanced the collaborative learning. I am really interested in the topic of collaboration because my master thesis was about collaboration and cooperation. And I differentiate both terms as I saw in the literature. So for example, cooperation, each person works separately and then deposit the work at the end. Whereas collaborative, they start to thinking together and solve solutions, and there is synergetic efforts together. Therefore, I'm asking that question because when I saw the collaborative learning, it seems to me as a one who studies that it is this procedure, I guess, I will wait you till the end to see the recommendations, by the way, because something interests me, especially because in my field. But I guess that this scenario will, as you said, it will be less pressure for the students when they have, for example, teamwork projects, because they will have a smart tool that they can benefit from it, whether is it useful or not, right? This is the idea, sir.
The idea is that the students, in this case, the students receive an assignment, they discuss the assignment on the discussion board. They submit their own versions of the assignment, but after a discussion. If they have a problem, they ask their student mates for a solution. And the chatbots can, based on certain criteria you'll see later, can suggest, but not insist or direct a solution. At the end, in an ideal world, if I had more time and a larger audience, a larger student group, I would introduce also crowd voting, because it's also like when all the works are anonymously displayed and the students can vote for the best one according to them. But here it was a bit limited, so the crowd voting wasn't there.
What was the class size?
Later, it's coming.
Okay.
It's coming.
Ok, moi je vais poser la question en français. Bon, je voudrais savoir ici, avant donc, la communication entre étudiants et les chatbots, est-ce qu'il y a d'abord des paramétrages à faire, comme par exemple, donc il y a un cours qu'un étudiant doit utiliser dans une plateforme.
Vous allez voir, c'est juste le début. Juste en passant, mon mémoire de maîtrise et collaboration en traduction, crowdsourcing and translation. Vous pouvez le googler et trouver sur le papyrus, sur le dépositoire de l'EDM. Voilà. Il est en français.
Comment ça s'appelle? Votre mémoire.
Crowdsourcing and translation. Mais si vous googlez mon nom, l'EDM, mémoire de maîtrise, vous allez trouver.
Vous m'avez invité, donc.
I just want to make sure. So you said the teacher is like controlling the student.
But from size,
Yes, from
he's
the
not
side.
in the room,
And-
like officially.
Yeah. And are the real students aware that there are student chatbots?
Coming.
Oh, it's coming. Okay.
It's okay to ask questions that it turns out will be answered later. It's reinforcing for the speaker, but not too often.
Yeah, maybe I'm a bit too early too, but I guess we're talkative students, so no, I'm kidding. Yeah, we've been told last time that we have to improve on that level. You mentioned earlier that you needed kind of a balance between the top-down management and the bottom-up. This use case seems to have like a bottom-up direction. So I guess we're gonna see use cases like
Chatbot exercising the top-down management, but the students don't feel it.
well, how do you define top-down management without pressure and bottom-up? Then it's like in the middle between both.
You'll see later, but and then you can ask the question again if it's yeah.
A 10-minute moratorium on questions, so a little bit more progress can be. Bravo.
I'll present the project with all the details, and then yes, because you're asking me questions that to which I'm going to answer right now. So this is the like mock-up architecture of the platform, the interface, what students and the teachers see when they log in. Yeah, so what they see is they see the lesson number, they see the text of the assignment, they see the attached files with learning material, they see the link to the communication with the teacher or administrator, they see the link to the frequently asked questions side, they see links to the resources that they can use for their studies. Then there is a discussion platform with the students, and we see the students with two chatbots in my case, with two different scenarios and two different characters, and they're hidden. The students don't know that there are chatbots there, and the teacher is here. If you have questions, you can write directly, and it will appear in the whole structure. So although the consent form and recruitment form stipulated that this is the study on potential use of chatbots in an online classroom, the students were not informed that there is a chatbot involved. It was a long process of obtaining the certificate. You feel the pain, those who are working with that. So working with humans is cumbersome. So I consider that to be important. Maybe later when we're so used to having talking assistants around us, it won't be as important. But for now, I find it to be important for students not to be preoccupied with figuring out which of the accounts is automated. So they were just not told that it will be there, but it was stated that we're studying chatbots in online. So no one pays attention. People sign forms without reading. I think that's what makes us human. Here, how one of the I used two platforms. So platform one, this is how it looked. So we see the topic number, we see the assignment. Then here, since it's a long page, I only cut part of it here. It's the text of the assignment and then attachment that can be downloaded in doc and PDF format, and the same kind of attachments of learning material that they can download. So here we see the participants. I used the lorem ipsum text to create names and used the first letter of their names to create avatars. So they don't know who's who, and that's important, especially when you use chatbots, and that's why I obtained the certificate. And also it's easy to hide chatbots because everybody has an avatar and a name that is not associated with the race, age, provenance, or gender, like that. So that's it. So the constraints, objects to fill the page. I planned to recruit 20 students, maybe more, because in 2020 I met with my students and we agreed that we will do this experiment. Then the pandemic happened and the teacher and potential content creator was not available. So as a result, I redirected my recruitment and I recruited 10 participants from Russia, Hungary, and Canada. Yes, there is a Tatar diaspora in Hungary. I knew you would be surprised. Then my research director, Dr. Kambu, suggested, okay, you lost the students, why don't you recruit more teachers? So I managed to recruit 5 teacher consultants who agreed to spend several hours perusing through the course material, through the discussions, and to answer questions what they think about that. So I had to be the content creator, the teacher, and administrator. It somehow redirected my study and opened me new reflection. So each problem is an opportunity, and don't despair when you're in the same situation. Maybe you'll have more freedom and more interesting ideas. So what did my literature research give me in terms of answering question 1, what are the advantages of chatbots in education? Well, the advantages of chatbots are universal, right? It's versatile, it's adaptable to any setting or discipline. It's has ability to stimulate interest, and it's over the clock, around the clock to interact with you. The research states that chatbots make learning interactive and dynamic, and has a potential to improve students' engagement, sociability, and knowledge acquisition. However, a number of researchers stipulate that still more research is needed on how chatbots can enhance student learning. Here we can assume that if students are engaged and feel comfortable and curious, their learning outcome is better. The advantages are really contributing. As for shortcomings, there are 3 major shortcomings I identified: linguistic, emotional, and technical. So as for linguistic shortcomings, the research says that chatbots work well, but in circumscribed situations, and even ChatGPT is not perfect, right? There are certain situations when it doesn't shine. It often fails to remember previous responses, and even if Wolf wrote about it 15 years ago, still mixed initiative dialogue is a challenge. Mixed initiative dialogue, everybody understand what it is. So initiative is when someone asks a question or offers a comment, so he initiates an exchange. So for a lot of chatbots, it's difficult to start a new theme in a conversation string. They wait for our input to respond. So not all chatbots are configured efficiently enough for such a mixed initiative dialogue.
there was no way to save like the history, such as on ChatGPT, you can save the whole thing, and I don't know if it works all the time, but
Yeah, ChatGPT stands apart from all other chatbots, right? Those that we can better control and that a teacher would easily recommend to especially younger students. So we're talking about the pre-ChatGPT chatbots and non-ChatGPT chatbots.
Dans ce type de contexte, ça aurait pas pu être enfin, testé avec comme un cas similaire pour des êtres humains, où quelqu'un commence à écrire une question et après tu fais que le chatbot splisse ta question en plusieurs commentaires. Comme quelqu'un qui écrit mais qui n'a pas fini son idée, alors il continue à écrire son idée après. Ça pourrait faire une simulation de cela par le chatbot.
Oui, mais on ne parle pas de chatbot ici, on parle oui. Chatbots has their own advantages and shortcomings, but we're talking about non-chatbot, ChatGPT's chatbots. So, and here they all still have trouble understanding interlocutors' intentions. So this is also the problem of context, because various words or sentences in various contexts can mean different things. So chatbots cannot always correctly detect what they're intended for. Emotional shortcomings of chatbots are closely linked to the linguistic problems. So they struggle with recognizing emotional states of users, of course, because there are a lot of nonverbal communication elements involved. And here we learn a curious thing about us human beings, because there are two contradictory phenomena. A lot of studies are devoted to chatbots where users report preferring talking to chatbots instead of students, instead of real people. And there are a lot of studies on users who prefer talking to humans. And I guess this depends on the context and on the situation. And a lot of people who, for example, practice language, they prefer talking to chatbot because chatbot is not judging you. No? But as they get better, they want to talk to real human to test their abilities. Also, there's this novelty effect challenge. With every technology, students are excited to test a new technology, but then the interest wanes. Yes.
Yeah, that brings me a question. Is in your prototype, like in your experiment, did you notice that your students were acting differently when they were like interacting with chatbots? That were they able, even though they weren't supposed to know that there were chatbots, were they able to?
They didn't know. That's why it's not an issue for me here.
Oh, they didn't know, but were they able to guess it from the interaction, because chatbots interact differently?
I didn't see them even trying to guess. I don't think anybody cared.
So that didn't make any difference for the learners.
That's the purpose of the work, to mitigate the shortcomings by the fact that it's a group discussion and the chatbots are not revealing their nature. So we don't care for the emotional or linguistic shortcomings because we're not perfect. So the group, it sort of makes everybody equal.
Yeah, that's interesting. So that on a one-on-one interaction, that must be.
Because all that is from one-on-one interaction. So all the problems revealed is from one-on-one interaction. Problem. So technical shortcomings, we can talk about three main aspects as resources. So a classroom, a teacher, a school, an institution doesn't always have enough resources to develop in-house chatbot to be employed. And what's in blue is my personal experience. Those who challenge the system and start building something, we experience the problem with interoperability of tools, because there was a huge issue of making different software and is what's the name of the software that it's not widget, it's
Скажи по-русски.
скажи по-русски. It will come later. For example, I used in my thesis, I list the number of software that I used. Software, for example, to act as a chatbot, and a software that accommodates a discussion forum. So I would program this messaging software to post as a member of the discussion, and I give it an avatar, I give it a name, and it all allows me. But then I say post, it appears in the discussion group as, hello, I'm your chatbot. So that was a huge problem. And then you go on the discussion side of the developers, and the users complain that, yes, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, this software doesn't talk to the other software. So
Compatibility, the word you're looking for?
no,
Oh, sorry.
I'll tell you. Another issue is teachers' involvement, which teachers who face all that, who are discouraged and who are not really trying to use technology in their classroom because they lack training and they lack accessible tools. And the teacher's involvement, in my case, since instead of extra 10 students, I had 5 teacher consultants, helped me explore this kind of problem. So my findings concerning research question 2, if the nature of a crowd learning platform can reinforce chatbots' advantages, the response is rather positive. Because chatbots, in my platform, they contributed to the bottom-up creativity of the students because they ensured around-the-clock readiness for interaction, and they animated the discussion. So as soon as the discussion slowed down, they can add a comment or ask a question. As for a tool for soft top-down management on the part of the instructor, they did act as a vehicle for instructors' prompts and directions. The ability of such a platform to mitigate shortcomings also proved positive. As for linguistic problems of chatbots, in the discussion group, we don't really pay attention to the quality of exchange, right? There are all kinds of mistakes. Sometimes there are comments out of the blue, not even relating or repeating or asking maybe silly questions, but we don't really pay attention because this is like a public space and people are not perfect. As for the emotional comfort of the participants, very supportive roles for chatbots and discussions. So they can always be programmed to detect certain keywords that display panic or stress and be one of the first ones to respond or offer suggestion. As for technical problems, I did find accessible, user-friendly online tools for instructors untrained in IT, and I did it 2 years ago. So hopefully now there are even more of them. So you just need to be creative. As to the research question 2, for the approaches in building such a platform, I divided them in 3 parts. So my suggestion is as to the platform, to the content, and to the chatbots themselves. So as researchers in IT products, interface designs state, it should be simple in navigation, it should be minimalistic in design, and should have user-friendly interface. That's why I couldn't really use Twitter X or Facebook or Discord for that, because they are overpopulated with various elements, commercials, and suggestions and spam bots. And when we designed our classroom, we wanted to be clean and comfortable. As to my suggestions, I would use predefined user profiles, as I showed you, and they can be recycled for the next class. You create just a list of avatars and the names, and then you send them to your students with the access code so that they can log in into the platform, then change the password. But if you have them already predefined, it saves you a lot of time in your future classes. It's always the first class that you give that is time consuming. I would suggest using region blind platform, which nowadays becomes more and more a problem, because I used the North American Wix platform for creating my first part of the class, but then I had to go and use the Russian ones for the second part of the class. I'll explain why. And they, in Russia, it's like in China, there are like 3 regions in the world, like North America and the West, China and Russia, that have their own metaverses. And the approaches to designing their social platforms and streaming platforms, they're different. And what I found very useful in the Russian one is that they all talk. We have several of them, of the social platforms, and they all talk with each other. And here, everything is proprietary. And even those who say that they can send messages, they can post into a different platform or social media, then it turns out that, hello, I'm your chatbot thing. So, but I hope humanity will find a way to have a user-friendly region plan. It should be adaptable to any device. Later, you will see that I had trouble with some of the students who couldn't log in from their smartphones. They found it more difficult, but things are different on tablets, computers, and smartphones, so should work on that. And it should accommodate various sharing styles. Like in my case, it was posting texts in Cyrillic in additional letters from the Tata alphabet. So it should accommodate various alphabets, numeric signs, allow you to draw graphs and formulas in chemistry and physics, for example. So whatever your discipline is, you should try and find the platform that will accommodate various sharing styles.
This platform allows you to extract the text between the students. I mean, the discussion conversation, the dialogues. I mean, is there a way to extract these texts from this platform?
What I did for my...
Yeah, because the students start discuss, right? And so is there a feature in this platform that you can extract the dialogues between the...
not here, and I wouldn't even have time, because Wix is a platform for online stores, you know, mostly. It's not for really discussion, but I found it to be the most user-friendly out of all that I tried, and I was short for time already, so I had to use whatever I could put up and launch as fast as possible. So it's very rudimentary, their ability to accommodate the discussion forum. For my teachers, for example, I just did screenshots and provided them a PDF of the whole thing. And they didn't really want to go and log in because of a technical problem. Teachers, especially of certain age and from humanitarian background, they don't like logging in and...
Quels outils utiliser pour mesurer cette forme d'apprentissage? Par exemple, il y a SCORM, il y a XAPI, il y a LRS. Et dans l'apprentissage, c'est quoi comme outil utiliser pour mesurer les résultats des users, par exemple, des student chatbots.
Ça vient.
Ah, OK.
D'accord. What is that? Why is it there?
Il faut te dire, il te reste trois quarts d'heure, 45 minutes en entier. Il faut couper à midi.
As to the content, what I found to be useful as to create the material in a way that is self-sufficient for this for the topic of the lesson that is taught at the given time. So everything, all the explanatory material, all the useful links, everything should be available on the page of that class of lesson 1, for example, so that students don't have to go elsewhere to look for references and to search for material. Assignments should be addressing certain difficulties. So if this is a class devoted to special verb forms, for example, in a language, the assignment should have enough of the problems in the text so that students work on it. Assignments should be promoting discussion. In my case, it was a language class, so the text were either poetry that was not Googleable. It's difficult to find text that's not Google, or they were short texts involving humor and unexpected outcome. So the students were really intrigued by how it will end, because, for example, the assignment was that the sentences in the text were all mixed up, and your problem was to render them in an order that creates a cohesive narrative. And assignments should have some tagged elements that will help both the teacher to distinguish between the difficulties, like the tagged elements of the simplest problem, a medium problem, and the hardest problem, for example. And then your chatbots can be programmed to look for this the mention of this tagged elements in the discussion, because the students will use these tags too when discussing. I'll show you. For the self-sufficiency, this is the second part. This is the Russian platform, content sharing platform, Zen, that I used in conjunction with Telegram, because in Telegram you can program a message bot that will post here and will present itself as a person you want it to be. So here we have the online dictionary, we have Tata language corpus, we have Tata alphabet. If you can't find the letters you need, and this Tata speech synthesizer that you can paste, for example, the text, and a voice will read you the text and you'll know how it's properly pronounced. As for the tagged elements, this is the first platform that I used in the Wix. This is a poem, and there are missing words that later will be in the initial form, just listed under the assignment, and you need to insert the right word in the right form. So each of the elements is numbered. So when students discuss them, they use the numbers to ask questions. So what did you do for number 5? What did you do for number 13? So it serves the teacher to program the chatbot accordingly, and it helps the students to discuss. As for peer chatbots, I would suggest 2 or more in a class, because it's easy to hide 2 or more, 3. Even if people start looking for one, they'll be looking for one, but there are more. They should have varied characters and scenarios. In my case, it was a weaker student and a stronger student. So from stronger students, there would be suggestions. Oh, maybe we should go and look there. Maybe it's this kind of web form. What do we do about that? So it's a little bit of a direction on that comes from the teacher, and the weaker student was a little bit panicky and asking maybe silly questions, but this way it was attracting attention to certain problem, and other students started explaining the situation to this weaker student, trying to, and the exchanges of the chatbot should be positive or neutral in nature. And we should think about scheduling of when the chatbots are posting their exchanges, their comments or questions. And in my thesis, I give a ballpark schedule, for example, for a certain course, a certain lesson, online lesson that lasts, for example, 10 days.
You're giving findings and conclusions, but we still don't know on what basis of data and analysis you drew these. Okay, I might make as a general, it's good to say we're coming later, and it's nice to know the conclusions at the beginning, but there are a lot of conclusions here, and one becomes curious as to.
First of all, I'm talking about my personal experience, the literature research. This is my personal experience, and the next one is what do we learn from the survey.
So far, all of the conclusions have been just.
This is mine.
From,
yes.
Okay.
When it's research question 2, and these are the results of the survey of the students. So here's an example of how the weaker chatbot. Yeah.
Est-ce que le chatbot est un expert dans le domaine ou il est plus au niveau de l'étudiant?
Juste comme je dis, il y a un étudiant faible et il y a un étudiant plus fort. Alors, voilà, par exemple, comment un étudiant plus faible pose une question. Est-ce que j'ai répondu à votre question?
Donc, il
y en a deux. Un est plus faible, l'autre est plus fort. So, according to my schedule, 3 days, if number 5 is among element number 5 is in the list of the hardest problems, and if within 3 days nobody mentions that in the discussion, the weaker student asks a question, what about that? And I'm
Make it more.
yes, so to attract attention, because maybe other students didn't detect it as a problem. Maybe they thought it's okay, but I want them to pay attention to this particular element of the.
Yeah, you mentioned that you suggested 2 or more chatbot in a class, but you know if there will be a ratio, like if you have a class of 50 students, you will need like 10 chatbots. If you have a class
I
of
will
5
mention
students,
later that can be the whole class made of chatbots and one human student.
yeah, so you don't know if there's like an optimal ratio for a class or.
No, I guess it's another study that, but for me in a small classroom, especially for languages, you don't have large classrooms. So here it's hard to say like 50 to 1 or 10 to 1. I did 2 for 10. So
I do have a question, sorry, but did the students afterward were been told that there were like 2 fake
no.
bots? So you did not mention them if they have any clue?
We'll go later to the research questions.
Okay.
So the weaker student launches cry for help, and another student says gives a suggestion which is wrong. The third student says that he or she is confused himself or herself, and the third student offers a correct answer. So this is approximately how this also a Z platform lesson 5.
So the first one was a bot, and all the other ones.
Students, yeah. So what do we learn from the students' experience? They answered questions concerning the platform, the content, the interaction among themselves, and how they liked learning without the teacher in the classroom, just with each other. And they never knew that there was a teacher in the classroom in the form of chatbot. So they all reported that it was easy to use, fun to study, comfortable, helpful, and interesting. And there was a question, which of your classmates you would like to have in future possible classrooms, and all of them practically named one or two or both chatbots that were there, so they liked their student mates. There was a technical problem with the second platform with the signing in from the phone. So there was a complaint that it was hard to sign in and complex and difficult to figure out, but it was all about logging in to the platform from the phone. And they could not log in from the smartphone. But the beauty of that other platform is it's a content sharing platform. So you can view everything without logging in. It's just you cannot post. So they posted their comments through this Telegram chatbot too. So they were like in this messaging.
So it's 8 out of how many students were there?
Two of them had problem with logging in. So they were posting their comments through Telegram bot.
Yeah, but 8 of them said that they had a good experience and they would have
Yeah.
those chatbots as future classmates. 8 out of how many? 10?
Here's one of the tables that were summarizing their answers. So for the user friendliness, we see that they found the second platform to be rather problematic. But for the satisfaction level, we see that they are either completely satisfied or mostly satisfied. Everybody liked the experience, and they posted comments that it was really fun and interactive, and they loved the experience. What we know from teacher consultants is very informative. They also found that it was comfortable, productive, and satisfying to both teach potentially such a class, and they found that the students were happy. But teachers being teachers, they said that the teacher's presence is not sufficient, of course. But since I was a researcher teacher, I didn't want, and the goal of the study was not to present myself too much, not to put myself forward. So I was happily behind the curtain, but a real teacher who is not doing this research, he or she wants to be there. So, and they asked for more interactive content, and they said machines cannot substitute humans. So that's where they stand. Well, and I understand. The participants, students mostly, they offered suggestions, and they wanted more exercises. They wanted various media, the multimedia side, and interestingly, they wanted for individual working space inside the platform, which would make it even more self-sufficient with having all the material there and your working space there. So you don't even have to go out like in Word and type something when you work on the assignment, which is a thing to consider. So the limitations here, of course, was small, the sample size, but I think everybody who is trying to recruit will face the same in our situation. It was a shorter course because of participants' time constraints. We did the pre-test, but we didn't have time for the post-test. We had to finish at the end of November because holidays were coming, and it's a bit difficult to collect also the post-test. And I was preoccupied with them filling in questionnaires, which consisted of 30 questions, and there were a lot of comments to write. So for me, it was more precious to get there feedback. And it was tested in a language class, but since discussion is can be present in any type of discipline, I don't see why not this kind of an online discussion forum type classroom function, at least for certain aspects of a certain discipline. And it can, of course, be tested there. So my conclusion here was that a crowd learning environment does offer a possibility to mitigate shortcomings of chatbots, and applying them unconventionally, for example, as peers in an online collaborative course, we can potentially enrich students' experience and expand instructors' toolbox. And for future studies, of course, next iteration of such platform would be interesting. Tested on a larger group during a longer course with pre and post tests, and it will of course be interesting to test it in other disciplines. And here, seeing that reticence of teachers in being replaced or like moved aside a little bit by technology, it would be interesting to study potential role of chatbots or other technology in empowering teachers, because I felt empowered because I was the one who was creating the course, being both a teacher and a creator. So if they get say in creation of the course, maybe they won't feel abandoned or replaced by the machine. They will see that this is just extension of the teacher. It's not a replacement of the teacher. And of course, ChatGPT and similar technology and its role in the classroom should be and must be and is already studied. Although I don't see how in this kind of environment we would allow a ChatGPT interact in an online collaborative platform to the supervision of the teacher. Teachers don't like that for sure, and I wouldn't like that because we cannot fully control what this type of software can do. I had thoughts about on technology, and one of my conclusions is that low-tech tools can make a complex structure. As you see here, that I used a messaging bot and content sharing site, which work together. And such an educational platform can be populated with a number of chatbots, and even if you don't have enough students sign up for the course, you can still launch an online course with just one student and chatbots, and the student will happily discuss it. And
universities don't make their living that way.
That's how you make a living, because you don't do much. You just launch the course and the person is there. It doesn't cost you you already created the course. It doesn't cost you to launch it again, and it just works.
Maybe it's different in the countries that you're studying, but these days the universities are looking for students to be sitting on the seats, to be paying for them.
Some online courses cost more than offline courses, so it's not a replacement. It's an addition. It's part of the.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about the one where there's only one student paying and we're at 49 chatbots.
But they're all working on their own. You don't do anything. And if you cancel a course, it costs you more. You know, it's a bad rep for the institution. They cancel the course. Yeah. I think the marketing people will convince you.
I hate the marketing people.
They keep you afloat. I wanted just to finish with one lesson that studying technology and humans, we learn about humans. I find, because when we interact with a new entity in our life, we learn a lot about our reactions and about the consequences. And I think humanity, people with humanities background like me, we have a lot to think about, even if it's not us who create the technology or we study ourselves how we interact and live alongside this technology. Yes.
Yeah, I just have a follow-up question about your future studies. It seems like you want to focus on the student part of it, so engaging the student with a peer, a virtual peer in his classroom. And you also said that if they feel more engaged and more accepted, the learning process will be enhanced. Have you ever thought of looking at the other way? So hiding a peer chatbot to the teacher and see if he's becoming more enthusiastic about his class because more people are asking questions and they are more engaged. So if you hide the chatbot from the teacher, will he give a better course because he feels like his group is more engaged?
I don't think I understood the question. Hide the chatbot from.
So you hide the
From the
chatbot from the students. So they don't know there's a chatbot, so they feel that there is more engagement and they themselves engage more in the class. But what if you hide the student chatbot from the teacher?
And who will hide it?
You build the class, he doesn't know that there's a chatbot. So you mentioned that you can have predefined chatbot, predefined. So you use a predefined chatbot, you don't tell the teacher and see if he is giving a better course because there's more engagement in his class. As I've given some courses myself, and when you have a flat group where nobody talks, it's hard to keep.
So here, the teachers, the 5 teachers who were looking through the screenshots of the discussions and the material, they didn't know they were chatbots.
No, but they know that they have chatbots.
No, no one knew.
No, but the teachers are making the chatbots.
I did know, yes, because it's I who created. But the teachers who were answering the questions in the survey, they didn't know. No one knew.
Okay, no one knew in the class that there was.
And the teachers were reticent because there was a question: would you accept a conversational agent in your class helping you? And they were like, "Oops, machine cannot replace humans." You know, they're still reticent.
But the teacher didn't knew.
No, there was just a softly asked question: would you accept such a situation?
Okay.
But my suggestion is that when a teacher is involved in building this classroom, then they don't feel left out and they feel empowered instead of being left out. So their reticence is there because they don't have their hands on.
Yeah, but my question is more about, I think you have measured the student part of it, but have you measured the teacher part of it? Like, do they feel more enthusiastic about giving a class because there is more engagement with the chatbot?
Well, they rated engagement very highly, but they didn't know there was chatbots.
Yeah, so is the engagement of the teacher higher with the student chatbot, or is it the same?
Well, it's the same, but it's different and maybe more efficient.
You never showed your data, so I never saw proportions here.
Proportions of what?
Proportion, for example, did you vary? You didn't even vary the number of chatbots per unit. It was always 2.
There's always 2 in the classroom of 10, yeah.
Yeah, so it would have been interesting to see a variation in the ratio to answer questions like this.
It would be interesting for me too, but doing this study as a thesis and under all these constraints, this were my limits. Of course, another study can measure that too, yeah.
It was wonderful that we didn't have to see data because we usually hate to see data. But it would be nice to see data, to see how your assessments are related to something you can count.
In my thesis, in the section devoted to results of the survey, every question is accompanied with a table and with the text or the comments. It's an open question. So all the data is there. I just showed you a little bit of that. So my goal here in the initial test of the prototype was to see if it's working together and if students accept this type of classroom without the teacher, just learning with each other, and do they like each other and whom would they like to spend another class with. So these were my results, that it's possible, that it's working. And maybe in the next iteration of the prototype, we can measure more aspects of this. But for here, it was, can we mitigate shortcomings of chatbots, and can the advantages of chatbots contribute to the online discussion classroom?
And the answer is, in this particular implementation, this one implementation, according to these assessments, it works.
Yeah, it worked. I had problems, but at the end, it worked.
That's interesting for me. But let me tell you what an educational psychologist would say. They would say, I want to know how well it works by comparing it to various degrees of this and that. And not just this, you know, like a, what is it, a existence proof or whatever, right? Right now you're saying that one particular way of implementing this particular idea is this, and according to this, I get these results. I don't know if it would be better or worse under what conditions. I can just say, this is what I got.
Because this is cognitive informatics, and we just marry informatics with cognitive science and try certain things. And then psychologists can expand and explore. But here we just marry the two disciplines and see what we can teach us, for example, how we can employ technology in a classroom. And this is one of the ways suggested, and it's up to future researchers or me, if I have means to do that, to try to develop that.
Is that in your list of future projects?
Not yet, I'm just in the...
No, but in this presentation you had, you said future work.
Future work is, it would be great to have that future work. If it's just like scratching the surface, and maybe future students and future research groups can try and use this approach.
Yeah, so like that's the first step, and like based on your future worlds proposition, like what would be the next step? Like if you had the resources to expand this research, what would be like the next thing you would do to?
The next thing would be to find a proper platform where I won't spend almost a year trying to make them work, and then shifting students from one platform to another, because one was good for discussion and trying the Wizard of Oz technique when it was me and not the chatbots, but I like this third degree of hiding using sort of chatbots, but under my guidance, and trying to figure out the schedule of posting, and then moving everybody to another platform where I can use finally the bots that can post, that I can schedule and they post. So the technical problem is the number one problem for me, because I have a lot of ideas, but try implementing is there. It's just like a meme about ChatGPT and as a container on in a port saying, okay, ChatGPT, unload this container. You know, they can talk a lot, this software and everything, but physically moving something and delivering it somewhere else is always a problem. They will always hit the wall in the real world. So that would be the first thing, like building a platform. Like, for example, this kind of approach can be implemented in Moodle. When in a Moodle there is already a possibility of discussing assignments, but if there's a possibility of employing a software that posts just as another student, there is a chatbot, but it's, hello, I'm your chatbot today, you know, it's not what we're looking for.
Moi, je voudrais savoir, est-ce que vous avez pensé à travailler avec modèle, comme par exemple, donc, modèle qui est une plateforme d'enseignement à distance où l'enseignant, donc scénariste, tout son matériel pédagogique, à savoir donc, documents PDF, des connaissances et autres.
Si jamais je suis invitée à collaborer avec eux, oui, bien sûr, mais moi je travaille à la fonction publique alors j'ai déjà un travail temps plein. Mais si jamais il y a un groupe de travail qui m'invite, je peux toujours consacrer le temps.
Que déjà vous avez un modèle donc qu'on peut intégrer dans Moodle.
Quelque chose de cette sorte.
Comme par exemple le transformer comme sous forme de plugin.
Oui, plugin, that was the word.
Qu'on peut
Plugin, plugin. Yeah.
intégrer dans l'enseignant, donc peut décider donc d'ajouter le chatbot dans son cours. Et là, le chatbot va utiliser ses propres ressources pédagogiques. Voilà, comme par exemple, bon, quand un étudiant se connecte, donc il a besoin de l'assistance au niveau donc de son apprentissage. Bon, actuellement, l'enseignant n'est pas connecté, il n'y a pas de tuteur. Donc là, le chatbot peut prendre donc le relais. Donc, par exemple, bon, voilà, donc il n'y a personne, il y a pas de tuteur ni enseignant, mais je suis là. Voilà, donc est-ce qu'on peut...
Je suis là, mais non, je suis un de vous.
Ouais, ou bien ne pas... Ouais, comme...
C'est exactement ça que j'ai écrit dans la section Future Studies, dans ma thèse.
Et à partir de là, donc, le chatbot va rester donc dans le cours. Il va travailler avec l'étudiant en fonction donc des supports, en fonction du matériel pédagogique que l'enseignant a mis dans Moodle.
Voilà, c'est exactement ça que je décris, que les plateformes comme Moodle et d'autres qui sont déjà accessibles pour les institutions éducationnelles, c'est un des plugins à ajouter et ça sera plus facile, la vie sera plus facile.
Il est déjà disponible pour son intégration.
Comment?
Le plugin, est-ce que c'est disponible?
Non, je ne crois pas. Parce que l'approche, je n'ai pas trouvé la description de cette approche. Oui.
Oui, j'ai créé un plugin sur Moodle qui fait un chatbot qui fait du coaching pour des exécutifs, pour des patrons ici. Je fais pour une entreprise. Avec le chatbot permet d'accompagner les managers, les former. Il est connecté avec OpenAI, qui exploite l'API d'OpenAI, qui est connecté avec un plugin de Moodle et qui envoie tous les données d'apprentissage dans Yet Analytics, qui est fait avec les protocoles LRS, ce qu'on appelle Location Records Service, donc pour enregistrer tout le comportement de l'apprenti. Et après, j'ai entraîné les données sur LRS, à partir des données qui existent, par exemple, sur Kaggle, un ensemble de datasets sur les apprenants dans le monde. Et après, on peut, par exemple, il y a un autre chatbot, un autre agent qui génère automatiquement le contenu adapté pour l'étudiant, ou bien pour le manager. On lui donne un quiz pour évaluer son niveau de management, ses faiblesses. Et ensuite, le chatbot propose, à partir de OpenAI, un contenu adapté pour la personne. C'est quelque chose qui moi-même, que j'ai déjà fait sur Moodle. Si on veut avancer, moi, je suis prêt. Je fais spécial sur Moodle, j'écris beaucoup, je développe beaucoup sur Moodle.
Mais le problème est que dans le Moodle, vous ne pouvez pas utiliser un chatbot qui se pose comme un étudiant. C'est toujours un coaching tête-à-tête qu'il fait.
Non, j'ai créé un plugin. J'ai créé un plugin. Quand tu vas arriver sur la plateforme, tu ne sauras même pas si tu es sur Moodle. Exploiter l'infrastructure de Moodle tu crées un cours, et dans le cours, c'est comme ça fonctionne Moodle, dans le cours, comme tu attaches soit un quiz ou bien un devoir, j'attache mon module, j'appelle ça évaluation tools, un outil d'évaluation qui est attaché avec le module cours qui est sur Moodle. Et puis après quoi, j'ai une interface, je crée des microservices, comme je veux, soit avec Node.js et attaché avec du PHP Moodle, avec du Python comme je veux, et j'exploite à distance OpenAI. OpenAI fait déjà la job.
Si j'ai les mêmes pensées que mes enseignants sont un peu réticents par rapport à ça parce que je crois pas que j'aurais confié mes étudiants à OpenAI.
C'est un exemple.
Bien sûr, chez soi, ils peuvent jouer avec, mais dans la classe, je crois que chaque enseignant voudrait contrôler le matériel et...
C'est pas comme ça. Tu peux exploiter un modèle que tu veux.
Ok.
Tu exploites un modèle, tu entraînes le modèle sur des données. Quand c'est fini d'entraîner, tu sauvegardes ton modèle, mais après, tu n'as aucun accès avec OpenAI. C'est pas comme si l'élève était sur ChatGPT, non. Tu vas chercher quel modèle que tu veux entraîner, c'est TensorFlow, Skitlearn, quel modèle. Et puis, le modèle qui fait l'affaire, tu fais l'entraînement, et maintenant, tu peux déployer ce modèle sur un serveur cloud. Mais une fois déployé, Moodle va utiliser ce modèle pour travailler avec les apprenants. Mais il n'aura pas accédé en tant qu'étudiant, en tant qu'écolier, personne n'accède à ChatGPT. Non.
Alors, elle peut agir comme notre étudiant.
Bon, si je comprends bien, donc il y a l'enseignant qui met donc les ressources. Ensuite, il y a le modèle qui va utiliser ces ressources-là pour s'entraîner avec OpenAI.
Exactement.
Voilà, pour rester donc dans le cadre.
Rester à l'intérieur de notre boîte pour protéger tout ce qui est renseignement personnel, les enfants, tout ce qui est éthique, est protégé. D'ailleurs, on respecte la loi C25, qui est là, qui est très compliquée. Mais on le fait tout simplement exploiter. Il n'y a pas que ChatGPT, il y a plein d'autres AI qui sont fiables. On peut aller chercher des données, par exemple sur Kaggle, il y a de beaux datasets avec beaucoup de données d'éducation qui sont là, il y a des millions. Moi, je les entraîne, on peut les entraîner. Je dis, OK, je prends mon modèle en Python et puis après, je le ship sur un cloud Microsoft Azure et ChatGPT et Moodle va appeler via une API, il va travailler avec.
S'il y a une séance synchrone avec l'étudiant, donc...
si tu veux, par exemple, asynchrone, ça va dépendre de quel software que tu utilises. Par exemple, Node.js est très asynchrone. Et sur Python, il y a la dernière version Flask 3.3, 3.0.3 qui est asynchrone. C'est même plus un problème d'être asynchrone.
Bon, comme par exemple, il y a l'étudiant qui se connecte dans Moodle. Donc là, vous avez déjà une boîte donc, au niveau de Moodle. Donc, par exemple, l'étudiant se connecte dans Moodle. Il veut un assistant donc, pour faire son apprentissage. Est-ce qu'il y a cette interaction donc, avec un chatbot
Oui, toi, tu crées ton propre chatbot. Qu'est-ce que tu veux? Un LLM ou un SLM ou un SMA, c'est à toi de décider. Tu l'as entraîné, tu le mets à part. C'est comme si toi, tu as fait un modèle de OpenAI, tu l'as spécialisé. Tu l'as spécialisé. Je veux que, par exemple, un environnement hybride, SLM, LLM, SLM, SMA. Aujourd'hui, c'est tellement intéressant. Moi, je travaille sur le SMA pour l'entreprise que je suis consultant, pour qu'on puisse créer plusieurs agents, c'est-à-dire multi-agents cognitifs. Chaque agent va faire un travail. Peut-être l'ensemble des agents vont prendre une décision pour l'apprenant. Ça, c'est quelque chose encore plus compliqué qu'on peut aller plus. Mais c'est comme on crée notre propre boîte. C'est comme si on crée notre petit OpenAI. Mais en exploitant le LLM, on entraîne pour faire une spécialisation sans refaire là-haut. Mais on n'envoie aucune donnée, aucune information sur OpenAI.
Voilà, on est là pour ça.
Yeah, like we just heard, there's kind of a lot of work to implement that kind of solution into Moodle or any learning platform. So do you plan of trying to measure the positive impact in numbers of that kind of student chatbot to justify the time and price, put that into the virtual classroom. So if, for instance, it's like a 5% benefit or 10% benefit, does it justify the cost and time to add that kind of solution into a system?
I think we should not also be lost in this desire to quantify everything. If we have data confirming that collaborative learning works, plethora of research on that, if we can enhance this collaborative learning by teachers' interventions that are hidden from the public and they look like interventions from their fellow students, should we really rush to quantify that? I think.
Yes.
How do you define enhancement?
So
How
welcome.
do you define enhancement?
Yes,
Why?
the problem was to offer a solution, a possible architecture, and seeing if it works. So it works, people are comfortable with it. What do we do next with this approach? Or if we offer another approach, this is all part of the academic research and discussion, and the goal is attained not just by the fact that the prototype was tested in the small group. It's just people start thinking about it and maybe they'll suggest something better and more efficient. So is this quantifiable?
But I think if you want to sell the fact that
I'm not a salesman. I was just thinking about this, marrying the two
selling as
approaches.
selling as an ID that this could enhance.
Can, but maybe someone else will do better than this, or maybe something different. But this is just one of the approaches, because there are many approaches of marrying technology in the classroom. And I'm not talking even like informatics department. I'm talking about high school or CJEPs or humanities studies, where people are not very well versed in technology and how open they are to accommodating and integrating this technology there. So that was not my goal to quantify, but of course, if I get my hands on a larger group of students and a team that helps me develop an application there, it will be serious quantifying. Was this expense justified? Here was just one person, me, doing all that. So my expense was my time and effort, sleepless nights, and finally the defense of my thesis. I got my reward from that, and I offer you my solution. So quantifying, commercializing, and selling the product, it's the next step, and maybe it's not me who will even making the step, because as a PhD student, I didn't think of commercializing and benefiting from it on a larger scale.
I was not saying selling in money wise. I was
Selling money wise is good too, no?
If you want this, if I wanted to engage more people in this kind of study, I personally would give them data to say we have improved the engagement by.
Yes, and then good luck for engaging many students. And raise your hands, those who are trying to recruit and obtain the certificate and everything else. So that is a huge, so you can find the IT teams who will do the product for you, but good luck with getting your hands on a large group of students.
Believe it or not, you have done the doctorate, you defended it successfully, and it was a valid, interesting doctorate. We're no longer in the defense stage. You're not. But it's you go to proof of principle, and you caught the imagination of people here. And what they're saying is that now that we know that the principle works, but let's find out how good it is and how much better we can make it. So
well, that's the purpose of the seminar, so that the word gets spread and maybe someone else will do better and maybe different, and the discussion continues.
very good. And now I want to thank you for a very, it was the most interactive one that we've had. Don't forget this. We want you to be like this for every talk. Don't be, the point here was that when if you knew it was a teacher, you'd be intimidated. Don't be intimidated.
That's a good point.
She's a doctor, but even graduate students, if they have interesting projects and results, we'll have them here. Thank you ever so much.